we got some news for the Las Vegas Raiders. There's been rumors of this move coming around the corner. It is now official. The Raiders have cut cornerback Marcus Peters. He is a free agent. The Raiders are going a different direction for the rest of the season at that position. And I think there's a couple really smart reasons why. Two big ones, but one I think that's going to have a huge impact. And there's an article from The Athletic that highlights just that and why the move was made now. Miles, if you can pull it up, I will read from it. All right, again, from The Athletic, why now? Peters, 30, signed a one-year, $3 million contract to be a leader in the secondary and did have an interception return for a touchdown in Week 8 against the Detroit Lions, but has since been a huge disappointment. His tackling was poor, including a whiff in the second quarter against the Chiefs, and his effort was questioned. The move allows the Raiders to give more playing time. Here's the most important part: to recently signed former Patriot Jack Jones and rookie Jacorian Bennett, a fourth-round pick out of Maryland, who was a healthy scratch for the first time. Peters had played almost all the snaps this season before being benched Sunday. This move also saves a team that is almost assuredly not going to be in the playoffs, $1.5 million. Peters was one of since-fired general manager Dave Ziegler's big offseason moves the last 2 years, including giving former Patriots defensive end Chandler Jones $32 million guaranteed. Jones is also no longer with the team. All right, so there's a lot of things to look into this, right? Obviously, saving $1.5 million, it's not a huge thing in terms of opening up the salary cap, but look, every dollar counts. But I think the big thing to understand here is about the Raiders is the timing of this move. Going into this game against the Kansas City Chiefs, if they had beaten the Chiefs, which would have been a big ask, right? Obviously, interim head coach, rookie quarterback, there's still Patrick Mahomes, there's still Andy Reid, there's still Kelsey, there's still Jones, right? That would have been a tough thing to accomplish. They had a great start, didn't get it done. But if they had beaten the Chiefs, then there may have been some rationale for keeping some of the veterans going, keep them on the roster, and just see how the rest of the season plays out. Because if you beat Kansas City, there's a chance you make a playoff push. They lose to Kansas City. They head into their bye week now. Now it's like, okay, our plan for going toward the future and coming up with a plan for 2024 and beyond, we're now full speed behind that. Aiden O'Connell is obviously going to start the rest of the way. Now we're going to start to see what other young players can do at other positions, what other new acquisitions are going to be part of this Raiders organization from 2024 and beyond. That's why I think it's a smart move, the timing of moving off Marcus Peters now that it's kind of official that the Raiders most likely won't make the playoffs. I think they're outside the top 10 in the AFC standings, right behind the Buffalo Bills at 6-6. The odds aren't great for the Raiders to sneak in. So now is the time going into the bye week to make a move like this and let your young guys and new additions get on the field and show what they can deliver for this football team, because this is a team that's looked much better. They've got a much different energy to them since Josh McDaniels got fired. I think now's the time to evaluate the talent at some key positions going into the future. I think this is why a great move for the Raiders, kind of a sneaky good move that fell under the radar. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this decision by Las Vegas. But first, Raiders fans, look, obviously heading into the bye, season hasn't gone exactly the way you would hope for at this point, obviously. But give us one guy, one player in the comment section below that you want to see the rest of the season to see what they can contribute to this Raiders roster. Obviously, young quarterback, young DB now, maybe somebody else on this roster. Give us the one guy you really want to see the rest of the way and see what they can give to this Raiders organization. But Miles, what do you think of this move by the Raiders and just everything going on with this franchise right now?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a really smart move by the Raiders because of the way that things went. I think if Peters came, he was a strong leader. He did really, really well, almost like he did in his transition from the Rams to the Ravens. It would have been a different story, but that's not what happened. And I think there's a couple things here. Peters, notoriously a big personality in the locker room, and that can go one of two ways. With a team that's obviously struggled with locker room personalities, they're struggling finding an identity. Maybe he isn't the right guy for your locker room. But if he played really well, that would be a different story. Obviously, outside of the one pick six, not really anything to write home about as far as playing. So I don't think this was a good fit for the Raiders at the time, especially everything in transition, all things being considered. This was a smart move by the Raiders to go ahead and move on. Peters came to Baltimore. He had a strong locker room. Mark Ingram was there at the time. Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Marlon Humphrey. There's a lot of strong guys in that Ravens locker room to kind of keep the ship going forward, despite what Peters may or may have not brought to the table. This Raiders locker room, not as strong at this time, and that's what Pierce and co are trying to do right now. They're trying to build the locker room culture. So, wild card in the personality section. He admittedly didn't really have too many issues, but there's the possibility. We've heard about things that have or haven't happened with him, and the play wasn't there, and you get to save a little bit of money on it. So, this is a no-brainer decision. I think it's a really good move, and just showing the Raiders are not afraid to cut ties right now. They're saying, hey, there's a lot of bad moves made in the past. we aren't going to hang on to them. We're going to cut our losses and move on. And you like that of an organization going in and change. You don't want to hold on to a guy just because someone paid some money for him. You're going to cut him, move on to your losses, and see what you have in these young guys. I like the prospect of Jones. I like Pierce and him, their relationship. I like all of the young guys on this Raiders team. I like guys like Max Crosby, the old veterans they have as well. I think it's a really exciting Raiders team, and I think they're doing a lot of really smart things finally.
And I think that's a credit, actually. It's kind of weird saying this, but credit to Mark Davis for making the move to fire Ziegler in McDaniels midseason. Because obviously, normally you want to wait to the end of the year. Sometimes you don't want to fire a guy in midseason. It kind of gives the realm of chaos. But because you fired them in the midseason, it allowed Pierce to go in and make moves like this, because this is the right move for the future. Peters is not going to be part of this. Well, he certainly was not going to be anymore, but now before this, he wasn't going to be either the long-term solution for the Raiders at cornerback going 2024 and beyond. And that's what the Raiders are building to right now. And we've talked about this a couple of times since the Raiders have fired McDaniels, is that now this Las Vegas team has a clear direction and a clear strategy. And this is just more evidence of it, right? Moving off of veterans, guys that aren't a great fit, maybe low effort guys, maybe causing locker room issues, and free up $1.5 million, get some young guys in the mix, see who's going to be part of this defensive backfield going into the future and beyond. It's all smart moves from the Raiders. And I think that's one thing to appreciate, because there's a lot of teams in football right now that, they may have a little bit better record than the Raiders, but maybe they're playing a little bit better, but there's no direction, right? You're kind of like, what's the future for this team? It's clear that the Raiders have a direction. They have a future. They have a strategy. Right now, it's about evaluating the young talent. It's about getting the locker room culture right. And I think those are two outstanding moves to make for the Raiders, two things to focus on the rest of the way. And for the first time in a long time, Raiders fans, I actually sense that this is going to be a stable franchise going forward, and there could be a lot of great success in the future because of that.